Well, welcome to Playtime Interval Interviews. You look really wide awake because this is the earliest one I've ever done, and I'm sort of...
You know what? I have, my secret weapon is I have a parrot now.
You're kidding me!
No, I would bring her through, but she'll probably make a racket. No, I got a cockatiel back in December, and she's incredible, but she wakes up when the sun comes up, which is now...
Okay.
She's when I wake up at 7 o'clock, she's awake.
And does she, like, talk?
She doesn't talk. It's usually the males that talk, but she makes a lot of noise. She makes beautiful chirping and all this kind of stuff. She's gorgeous, yeah. She's great.
And what does she do when you play the saxophone?
She is not sure about the horn. I don't think she minds the sound as much as she doesn't like it as a big metal thing, you know what I mean? She sees it kind of, as about it. But she doesn't mind the sound, she doesn't mind the sound.
Maybe she's more of a classical cockatiel.
It must be that, yeah.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend once that had a parrot, and I don't think it liked me, and I just kind of, it would stare at me all the time.
You're actually the second person that's told me that
Really?
One of their ex-girlfriends has had a parrot, and then it was really weird and didn't like.
I think it used to say stuff, but it was a long time ago, so it may have just grown in my memory,
You're right.
like just under its breath as I was passing. Yeah, you're fat. Stuff like that. And so, where are you in the world?
So I'm in North London.
Oh, okay.
I'm here, Stoke Newington, London. Yeah.
And you are from Shetland.
I am. Yeah.
And I think we met there a long time ago.
Many years ago.
So what? Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I grew up there. I was there until I finished primary school, basically.
You don't have the real Shetland accent, do you?
Well, I mean...
Can you do it?
Do you know what? For my sins, it's been a long time since I've been up there. You know that? It's been a long time. And the thing is, you have to be around the people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Does it come back when you go home?
I mean, I'm sure it would. As I say, I haven't actually made it up to Shetland for a long time. Right. I mean, I barely even make it up to Scotland at the moment for a long time. Which makes me sad. But I mean, I'm sure. It's like my Scottish accent in general comes out more as soon as I'm talking to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm apologise. I don't really have one, so.
Yeah, you have a bit of a mixed accent. I always noticed. Yeah.
Well, I'm English.
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, I am English, and my wife doesn't know, but she doesn't watch these, so it's okay.
Sorry, mum's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, and my accent changes with who I'm talking to. So
exactly. Yeah. That's the whole thing, I've been in England for a long time. I went to Birmingham, so when I left Edinburgh.
Okay.
When I moved Shetland to Edinburgh, did high school in Edinburgh, and then I moved I went to music college in Birmingham, and that'll ruin anybody's accent.
Yes. Although, have you seen Peaky Blinders?
I actually haven't. I've heard a lot of people talk about that, but I've heard it's brilliant. Oh. Yeah.
And the Birmingham accent is fucking cool. Yeah. Once you've seen Peaky Blinders, it's like, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean Birmingham. I mean it's a mad place. It's great. The people are cool. The people are cool. The accent's bonkers. A lot of people don't like it. I'm used to it. I like it. It's never.
So, what was the name of your Jane something? Your clarinet teacher. The teacher in Shetland that organised all that stuff we did.
Oh, that would have been Jane Morton.
Yes. She was lovely. Yeah.
Oh, she was brilliant. Yeah, I loved her. She was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, she was great. Yeah.
Was it her that got you into jazz then? How did you get into jazz?
That was kind of probably more through my mum, and because my mum was a music teacher.
Okay.
And I remember being very young and the Fife Youth Jazz Orchestra coming up to Shetland.
Okay, Richard Michael.
Yeah, to do workshops and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of kicked off from there, I think.
How old were you at that age, or at that point?
Oh, I mean, I started playing the saxophone when I was about 8 or 9, so I was probably about 10, 11, And, and then we had little wind bands and little kind of bands here and there, so, it just...
And what was the name of the trumpet player guy, Roy something?
Houston.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
And so, did you have a lot of jazz playing in the house, or were your parents into jazz?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember any jazz records specifically.
Right.
I remember more like, we only ever had vinyl. We never had a CD player or anything growing up, so it was just whatever my parents had. We had, we had David Bowie and Bob Marley and we had a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't remember any jazz records specifically until I was a little bit older,
And so you went to Edinburgh, then you went to Birmingham, and then how did you end up in London? How did that work?
Well, I mean, basically, I finished at Birmingham I went to the conservatoire there. I finished in 2010.
Was that good?
It was great. My year was great. You know how, I mean, you always kind of think that your time at a place was really good, but I feel like, the years that I was there was a vintage year.
Well, of course it was.
But it was,
so
really was.
Who else was there?
There were people like Dan Nichols. Do you know Dan Nichols, a great piano player? The thing is, we had some amazing people there, but it was the stuff that was going on while we were there that was really killing. I mean, the visiting artists, we had Dave Holland as our resident artist while we were there. Wow. The visiting artists that came over ranged from, Lee Konitz to George Garzone to Dan Weiss, Dave Binney. They were just in all the time. We had all these people coming in, and it was just ridiculous, because we had this bar next door.
I know. Well, I played there last year, so
yeah.
The wee club in the.
So no, that's not the college that I went to. That's the new college.
Oh, okay.
I was at the old college.
Okay.
And the old college was basically built in a massive concrete building stuck on top of a roundabout with a weird shopping mall attached. It was really weird, and we had this club called the Yardbirds.
Okay.
It was right next door to it. So anytime anybody came over to do a gig, they would do like workshops or teach in the college, they would do a gig there. So it was just, a constant kind of hang with people all the time. Jason Moran played in there. Wow. Everybody, it was nuts while we were there. It was really a cool time to be there,
Yeah.
It was really great. Yeah.
And so...
But yeah, my journey to London, though, I stuck around in Birmingham for a few years after I'd finished, and then I got offered a record with Mike Janish's label.
Okay, great.
Whirlwind. And I'd thought about moving anyway. A lot of my friends had already left, and so I just kind of made the jump then. That was the start of 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a long time ago now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must be getting quite elderly.
Do I look it?
Well, everything's relative, Rachel.
I haven't got a beard yet, so I feel like I'm doing all right.
I think it's interesting though, because when my generation came through, and I'm sort of exactly the same age as Tommy Smith and John Ray and sort of Brian Kellogg and that kind of. Although I obviously look a lot younger, but previous to us, most of the Scottish jazz musicians that had got good left, so
exactly.
Jay Craig, people like that, and they either went to London or Bobby Wellens, people like that. They all left.
Yeah.
There were a few guys that stayed, like Alex Shaw and Ronnie Ray, that were really good. Gordon Cruikshank was, he was really good, but they didn't really stay and do contemporary jazz and write their own music and have those kind of careers. The people that had those careers had all went somewhere else.
They've all left.
And then we were the first lot to stay, really. But I think part of the reason we stayed was because when we were like 17, 18, there wasn't really anywhere to go and study.
Exactly.
Apart from maybe Berkeley that Tommy went to.
Yeah.
So, and I think I was talking to Laura Jerd a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about going to Trinity, I think it was, and meeting a bunch of people and really finding her, finding her musical identity at college. And I think, do you think it's likely that, do you ever imagine moving back to basing yourself in Scotland, or do you think you're going to be London for
I mean, I can't see myself. I mean, I would like to spend more time in Scotland. You know what I mean? I would like to, because the problem is the longer you're away, the less connections you feel like you have to that place. You know what I mean? Generations keep turning over.
There's more coming all the time.
Exactly. So, I don't know any of the young people on the Scottish scene at the moment. I only know the people my age or older. You know what I mean? So in some senses, it'd be nice. I think I'll probably be here. I have a lot of connections in New York now. My partner's from New York, and we spend a lot of time over there. He's a drummer. We spend a lot of time over there, and I think I kind of see. It's funny you say that, because when I left Birmingham, I always a lot of our kind of view is that most people would leave, and I see the people now that have decided to stay and kind of really
in Birmingham.
Almost kind of, not take control of the scene, but become a real woven part of the fabric of the scene, that not only are just people that gig on the scene, they organize stuff, they make gigs, they make, you know what I mean? They make things happen. So I suppose it depends what you want from where you are.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And I think it also depends on how much being Scottish contributes to your musical identity, because we did this masterclass at Birmingham last year.
Right.
And I was with this band out doing these Indian guys.
Right.
And there's a bass player there from Orkney, funny enough.
Right.
And I knew the fiddle player that taught him at music at school. He's this great Douglas Montgomery. He's just absolutely brilliant. He's a brilliant musician, but a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
And there was quite a lot of traditional music in the gig we were doing, and mixed with Indian stuff. And I was saying to him, being from Orkney is actually a really unique thing for a jazz musician, and if you want to use that, it can make you, it's something that can make you different within the sort of world scene. Yeah. But I don't think that's for everybody. I don't think that's the route everyone's going to go down.
Yeah, I think there's a really good who's that young? I feel terrible that I can't remember his name. I can't remember anybody's name. There's that young tenor player that's out at the moment.
Matt Carmichael.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's really Scottish sounding, yeah.
And he's really, because I had a friend of mine, the boy who won it actually is a piano player that I play with a lot. Was in the same competition, that young jazz musician.
Yeah.
And that, I've got to say, he obviously, listening to him, that fusion comes naturally, and I think it has to happen like that. Because as you're saying, it's like, I don't think you can kind of, just because you're from Scotland doesn't mean you have to put the folk thing. Yeah, you know what I mean? But when you hear people do it naturally, it happens organically. Like, he's obviously doing it. He obviously hears it like that. You know what I mean? It's a really interesting thing. It's interesting that it works that well.
Yeah, we did a lot of it back when we, in the 90s, there was a lot of jazz, folky stuff. And I think it's a really interesting, but you do have this you could have imagined, well, we're going to double our audience because we'll get all the jazz people and all the folk people are going to love it. When in fact, most of the jazz people hate folk and most of the folk people hate jazz. So you it's like a Venn diagram. You get this tiny crossover audience.
Well, it's interesting actually because we kind of tested that out. I was on Paul Townsend's last record.
Well, I've got it. It's great. I love it. Yeah.
It's really cool, you know.
Yeah.
So, and he really jumped with both feet into both of those kind of things because we did it. We played at Celtic Connections, and it was really, really interesting because half of the folk people don't know who any of us are.
Yes.
Or there's a few people that cross over. You know, I went to school with a lot of folkies. You know, people like Mike Orrs can kind of, you know, there's some crossover people there, but you know, you get that. I
think if you were based in Scotland, you'd know them all because we play together all the time. And I think that's one of the real joys of being of staying in Scotland is you get to play with the traditional musicians a lot, and I think that's the big plus for being here, like the Grit Orchestra and things like that, and Paul's sort of project is you kind of and they hang out way better than jazz musicians. They stay up later. There's a lot more drugs. There's a lot more partying.
Folkies are not to be messed with. Like they're not serious about partying. Yeah.
And they would play till 5 a.m. You know, they're completely drunk.
Yeah, and I miss that. You know, I miss the folky vibe. You know, I don't hear a whiff of that down here because English folk music. Let's just be honest. Not quite the same. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, you know, but it's you know, it's just a different kind of thing. I'm sure if I wanted to get into that world down here, I would, but I don't because it doesn't feel, you know, being into it in Scotland isn't how it goes. It's just you're in Scotland and that's how it goes. You know what I mean? And that's where you're from and that's what it sounds like. You know what I mean? Getting into it somewhere else, it doesn't really interest me in the same way. But have
you listened to John Sermon?
Sorry?
John Sermon, have you listened to much?
I haven't.
Because he's the for me that I'm not an expert, but the English jazz musician that seems most connected to a sort of English stone. You can imagine some of his stuff being played at Stonehenge, like with everyone dressed up in fur and killing rabbits and stuff like that. And sort of pagan sort of It's sort of got that ancient thing going on, whereas a lot, and I think all the Scandinavian guys have got that somehow connection thing, but
yes, I know
it's not particularly English vibe.
Yeah. You know, but I mean, I grew up in Shetland. If you can't, you know, you haven't got a choice but to like the sound of a few fiddles. You know?
Yeah. So we're going to have to wind this up pretty soon, although I feel like we could keep going for ages because it's really interesting talking to you. But I just wanted to ask you about next week when you come and join Playtime. Are you aware what we're doing and stuff like that?
So, I mean, kind of. Martin said you just need a microphone somewhere with a good internet connection and you know, a WhatsApp box thing, and I've got all of that.
Yeah. And basically, what we'll do is we'll meet up.
Real time. It's crazy, right?
We'll meet up earlier in the week, and I'll just check. We'll just get everything. It's really straightforward, but it is kind of really weird, but kind of lovely because you're in your house, and it genuinely is improvising, but it's kind of like just not. You're doing something really familiar, but there's something about it that's completely like, whoa, what? And it seems to really work. So, and it's really great to have you on. So,
I'm absolutely thrilled. You know, I mean, anything that Martin Kershaw asks me to do, I do. You know.
What about painting and decorating? If he asks you to come and decorate,
I can do it on Zoom and watch him do. Give him instructions.
Well, listen, I'm going to have to go, but it's really great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Sure, more than welcome. Thank you, Tom.
really looking forward to. I mean, you came to Playtime once when we were in the outhouse, and you were brilliant. It was a brilliant night. So hopefully we'll recreate some of that stuff.
I hope so. So thanks so much. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, Rachel.